What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox. And it's day 6 of spoiler season. And we are continuing to go through the entire set, day by day. And as usual, after I stopped recording yesterday, a few more cards came out. So I believe we arrived at Patchwork Crawler yesterday. And we've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards from yesterday that spoiled after I went to bed. So let's just dive right into it. First up, Honored Heirloom, a 3-mana artifact. Just a mana rock. A typical mana rock, like 3 mana, add 1 mana of any color. That's kind of like the Celestis, on and on and on. But this one's extra little added ability is that you can pay 2, tap it, and exile a target card from a graveyard. Kind of guess it depends on how like strong certain decks become. Then suddenly this might become like a sideboard all-star. You know. It was like when cycling was like really, really strong. With Zenith Flare and all of that stuff, and then having a sideboard with like escape cards or things that exile the opponent's graveyard, like what was it called, the Tome, that costed 0 mana, the thing that people used to combo with Tybalt's Trickery. Suddenly that was like sideboard in every single deck and that sort of stuff because of cycling. So like that sort of thing. If there's like a deck that's really, really, you need to exile stuff out of their graveyards, like important, and this might become like a sideboard card, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Next up, Stencia Uprising, the only rare. Oh no, there's another rare up here, which I cannot read anything of. Stencia Uprising, 4 mana, red enchantment. Okay, cool. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 red human creature token. Then, if you control exactly 13 permanents, you may sacrifice it and deal 7 damage to any target. Ooh, I really like that. I really like that, man. I don't know how really good it is, or if it'll see any play at all, but it's just the kind of thing that I like. Janky, weird workarounds. This could be fun in like a go wide Boros aggro. Just leave it there. Pretty hard to remove. And then at some point, when you've gone wide enough, and it's helping you do that by making a human every end step, at some point you can do 7 damage to any target. Poof, you go face. In an aggro deck, that's definitely going to be the last 7 that you need to get the win. So pretty sweet, actually. I wonder. Misalaki. Next up. Just kidding. I wish I could speak Japanese. This doesn't even look like Japanese. This looks like 2 different languages on one card. Anyway, Hero's Downfall. 1 and 2 black. So it's a destroy target creature or planeswalker. It's murder, basically. No, does murder kill planeswalkers as well? I've got my client open here that you guys cannot see, so I'm going to quickly cheat and go look up murder. Only creature. So this is just a straight up better murder. Same exact mana cost, instant speed, except it's target creature or planeswalker. I think this is definitely going to see some play. Although I still think, man, it's crazy how they make them so different. So you always have a decision to make. Like in the 3 mana instant speed removal spells category, I've been running Poison the Cup now for a long time because I like the Foretell. I like the Scry 2 if you cast it for Foretell. I like the fact that it costs 2 less if you cast it from Foretell Zone. There hasn't been like a good 3 mana removal like this. The previous set made it all about, Crimson Balm made it, I think it was like Tasha's something, but it was like if it's nighttime -13, if it's daytime -2 or something like that. And then there was another one that was also -2 to all tokens or -5/-5 to one target creature. It's kind of like these weird ones that we've had over the last couple of sets. This is just straight up boom, 3 mana, instant speed, creature or planeswalker gone. I think that's really, really potent. I think it's definitely going to see some play. I just don't know personally if I prefer it over what's going on here? Over Poison the Cup. Where were we? Nice card. Next up, another rare. Dreadful Service. 2 colorless, 1 black enchantment. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, create a 2/2. Ooh. And this isn't with Decayed. Wow. I've got this like zombie enchantment deck, life drain deck that I've been working on. I'll wait to show you guys. This might be pretty sweet in there. 2 of. Because now that it's weird. Like some of them crossovers are not looking as smooth as the others. Like this disturb mechanic from Midnight Hunt and from Crimson Vow seem to work really well together. We're gonna just take some of the best from both sets and make a really sweet deck when you combine them. The Midnight Hunt zombies and the zombies from Crimson Vow, they're like doing different things. The Crimson Vow zombies definitely are more about like creatures in graveyards. So like it's gonna be really much harder to combine the two, and there's already a huge pool of good zombies or like that. I'm already struggling to trim off what and cut which card and play which one over which other one in all the various stuff that's going on with zombies right now. And now it's gonna be even harder. But there's a good zombie deck to be made for sure. I've been working on 2, which I'm gonna show you right after this spoiler content. So tune in again for that. But Dreadful Service, cool card. Next up, Markov. Oh, I don't have to click on this one. Stop. Markov Retribution. Sorcery speed, 3 mana, 2 in a red. Choose one or both. Okay. Choose one or both. That's cool. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, and target vampire you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. That's cool. That's cool. If you've got like these death touchy, lifelinky vampires, which there's many of, this kind of becomes like a rabid bite in a vampire deck. And for 3 mana, you buff the whole team, and you get to do a fight on like the opponent's most important blocker with one of your death touchy guys. Get rid of that, and then swing in. That could actually be pretty good. Again, like this over which 3-drop that's already in the deck, whereas like you've already got your few important vampires as is before even the new set arrives, with Florian the Voldaren Scion at a 3-drop. Interesting to see if this sees any play, but I like it. It's really cool. The Vampires deck has a lot of these cards where it's like specifically tailored to the deck, and that always makes me think a little bit more about limited than constructed. It was I'm just scrolling back to look at this one where it was like, oh no, it was 2 damage to every non-vampire. It's like a little micro one-sided sweeper. This thing, Vampire's Vengeance, also kind of fits that bill. We'll have to see how good this vampire deck gets. I think it's looking really potent so far, but I could be wrong. Might just do absolutely nothing, kind of like werewolves did at the beginning. But now that we've got, I think this was kind of always the plan. And hats off to WotC again. Like they do some things really well, and set design I think is one of those things. And like the planning to come up with such amazing sets, and then have them sort of like merge and release them closer to each other exactly for that reason, on the same plane. I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Next up, Mulch. Last card from yesterday. 1 green. For sorcery speed, reveal top 4 cards in your library, put all cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Cool. And this is a reprint, no? I'm not an expert on like stuff from a few years back during my holiday from Magic the Gathering. Why is it going back here? Okay, so that's everything from yesterday. Now, onwards onto some new sweet cards. Boom. Here we go. And we got quite a large dump today. There's quite a few things to get through, so I'm just going to plow ahead. First up, Honeymoon Hearse. We got a first vehicle, and it's a red one. 3 mana for 5/5. 3 mana for 5/5 trample. Wow. That's great. Doesn't have crew though. It just has you have to tap 2 untapped creatures you control. That's much easier than crew. Because this would be crew 5 if it was crew. So you just can tap 2 1/1s, and then this thing becomes a 5/5 trample for 3. I think that's pretty freaking epic. I'm not sure what deck it'll go in, but I think that's a really good card. I love the whole flavor. The Honeymoon Hearse. This is what they're riding off after the wedding in Olivia and what's his face. Okay, I don't want to get... There we go. Why does the website keep doing that? Next up, I guess I gotta stop clicking on the cards that are English. I only need to do that with the ones that are in... Wow, what is that? Bloodvial Purveyor. Another vampire. 4-drop. It's kind of vying for position with the new Sorin Planeswalker, but we'll probably only run a couple of those. Flying Trample, so a Frampler with 6 freaking toughness. That is really, really quite nice. That kills Goldspans. This kills even like Velomachus Loreholds. This pretty much sorts out anything in standard right now without dying. So that's something. 5/6 for 4 with flying and trample. That's freaking crazy good. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player creates a blood token. So you're giving the opponent blood tokens. This is a cool twist. And then whenever Bloodvial Purveyor attacks, it gets +1/+0 for each blood token defending player controls. Wow, that's pretty cool. This just sort of comes down on turn 4 and sits there, and then eventually it just like becomes like and no one will be able to get rid of it unless it's like, you know, hard black removal. Your opponent's going to keep doing his thing, and it's any spell. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, and it can be whenever, so it's not once a turn, it's whenever. That means multiple blood tokens, until eventually this thing can attack in for like whatever, something ridiculous, and you just... Nice. Misa likey. I wonder if it'll see any play again, because it's a really cool card. But now there's a lot of like amazing 4-drops that have so far from the vampires. Even just this guy from yesterday or a couple of days ago. Where was he? I gotta stop doing this to myself. This guy, Anje, the Maid of Dishonor. This girl, this lady. So, you know, we'll have to see. I have now that I've been seeing more and more of these spoilers, and I've noticed, you know, because Olivia's little end bit of text there requires her to be legendary vampire on the board. So if they remove her, the things you brought back with her remain on the board. So we're gonna be like interspersing these nobles, which are like the main characters of the story, in with the other. So here's another one. We'll get to Henrica in a second. with the other non-nobles that are at the same point on the curve. So maybe go like 2 of each of the legendaries instead of my usual sort of 3 that I do. Or if it's a really good card, I sometimes even go 4, even though it's a legendary. I think in this case, a lot of them are like good, but not so good that you ever want 4. So you go like 2 of each at every point on the curve, and then Olivia at the top end, also 2 of. And then fill up the rest with the non-legendary ones, and I think it's going to be a pretty sweet deck. And it fits that whole theme of like it's a wedding, so there's a few like more important people, and then a bunch of other just like more, less important vampires at the wedding. So Blood Vial Purveyor, one of the non-legendaries to go in the 4-drop slot, alongside maybe 1 or 2 copies of Sorin. Oh, I can't wait to brew this deck. I am gonna start doing some theory crafting in either hub. There's a little lapse between spoiler season and the actual set coming out. In those couple of days, I'm gonna be creating the decks ahead of time on either hub for you guys to see and for us to talk about, and then for me to play straight away as soon as the set drops on day 1. Next up, Thirst for Discovery. Instant speed, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards. Unless you discard a basic land card. Okay, we had something like this a little while ago, except it was unless you discard an enchantment. It was in Theros. Can't remember the name of the card now, but pretty cool. 3 mana, instant speed, draw 3, discard 2. Or draw 3 and discard a land. If you're flooding, this is pretty freaking amazing, actually. Draw 3 is great. Or, in some decks where you want to be discarding 2, graveyard stuff. This might be really, really good, actually. Which is why it's uncommon. I think that's signaling that this might actually be pretty better than I think. Interesting to see. Next up, Golgari card. First uncommon in Golgari colors. Tree Folk. Okay, so the Golgari deck is finally starting to coalesce. Like, I think Ren and 7 Asika was like not... I mean, I'm sure they caught it during testing, but it's not like the real way that Ren and 7 is supposed to be played. Like this thing where the +1 puts so much stuff in the graveyard, and then you're just like, especially in mono green, I've said this before in many of my videos, you +1 at Ren and 7 in mono green, like, yeah, sure, you got to make like 1 Tree Folk token, and maybe if you're lucky and I don't have any removal, you get to also copy that token within a Seeker's Chariot. But most of the time what happens is I kill your token, or I kill your Seeker's Chariot, and then you're left with this it's Ren that's on 2 loyalty, and then they start plussing 1, and then you see them like throwing like really important cards that they would have loved to draw on top deck, like stuff that they would have won the game with, that just ends up in the graveyard, and then they have no way of getting that out again. At least not in the current mono green build. They don't play any of their Barligan recoveries or anything like that, so it just ends up in the graveyard, and then they get a handful of lands, which is like not that incredible in that mono green deck. Whereas in a Golgari reanimated deck, which they sort of like been hinting at, but wasn't really there, with like old stick fingers, and there's like a fungus horror guy that mills a card at the beginning of every turn. There was so many things that was like about how many things you had in your graveyard and how many things died this turn. That diagraph recovery and it was a lot of Golgari stuff that just didn't see any play at all in Midnight Hunt, and I really hope that finally with Crimson Vow it'll make like a cool Golgari reanimator graveyard shenanigans deck and it's looking like tree folky and fungusy and horrors. I like that stuff, so fingers crossed. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power deals combat damage equal to its toughness instead of its power. Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. I wonder. Okay, we'll have to see what else comes out to make a proper evaluation. That's an interesting effect. It's a little bit expensive. Next up. Bordered Windows. 3 mana artifact. Creatures attacking you get -1/-0 at the beginning of each end step. Oh no, -1/-0. Full stop. At the beginning of each end step, if you took 4 or more damage this turn, exile boarded windows. Okay. That's pretty cool. I like the text on that. So it's like, if they you know, it doesn't stop you from getting all the damage, but it stops you from getting some, and then eventually they break through these boarded windows, and then you exile the boarded windows. It's like a little temporary protection. That's pretty nice. I think in limited that's going to be really, really useful, and like, I don't know if it'll ever make any splash into standard, but cool flavor. This flavor's been so on point on the set so far. Next up. Ooh, we're almost at Enrique. Can't wait to read this one. I've actually, you know, already read this one on Facebook today. Here we have a modal dual-faced werewolf. Weaver of Blossoms, blossom-clad werewolf. 3 mana, 2/3, human werewolf. Comes to play, tap, add 1 mana of any color. Okay, or at nighttime, it becomes a 3/4 and you can tap it for 2 mana of any color. That's pretty cool. Some sort of, ooh, this I actually have a spot for in a deck that I've been toying with. I have not yet put on the channel. Like a mono green werewolves needs a bit of ramp. This could be the gel. But the 3-drop slot is just so contested in that deck. Interesting. Probably more of a draw. Why does it keep going back to there? I hate having to scroll up like this. Sorry, guys. I don't know why my browser's doing this. Finally, Enrique Domnati, the mythic legendary vampire of the day. 4-drop. It goes alongside the other one that we were just looking at. Flying. 1/3. Okay. Comes into play as a 1/3 for 4. You're like, why is this mythic? Okay. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, the turn it came into play, you can choose one that hasn't been chosen. Each player sacrifices a creature. Or you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Or you transform her. So it's interesting. Before we discuss, okay, when you transform her, she becomes the Infernal Seer, which has flying, death touch, and lifelink, and it becomes a 3/4. So you can have her just like come into play, combat turn, transformer, boof. Combat, yeah. And then you can pay 3 additional, 1 colorless, 2 black, and you give each creature you control with flying, death touch, and or lifelink +1/+0 until end of turn. So and that includes her, of course. So then she'll become a 4/4 flying, death touch, lifelink. Okay, it's not bad. But also you can have her just hit the board, and you have like maybe some tokens or like cheap sacrificial vampires that you don't really care about. Or there's even that one flashback card that makes vampires tokens, stuff like that you can happily sacrifice. So you sacrifice something that you don't care about, and the opponent has to sacrifice something. That can be pretty good. So you just have it hit the board and you just wait it out a little bit and trade some of your worst stuff with your opponent's like important stuff. You know, with certain board states where you've got a much wider board and he's got like 1 or 2 big creatures, you can easily get him to sack those without flipping Enrique into the Infernal Seer. Or, you know, you can just pay 1 life to draw a card at every combat step. So draw 2 cards every turn in a vamp deck. That's really, really important also for just 1 life. And then you gain it back with one of your many lifelinky guys. That's also really, really good. And then third thing, you just transform her into this card, which, you know, most of your vampires have either death touch, lifelink, or flying. So then they all get +1/+0 off of this ability. And it's not a tap ability, and it's instant speed. So you can do it however many times you have the mana for. And during attacking or defending, I think this card's a house. Like, it's gonna be, I think, again, like I said, a 2 of this sprinkling of like really good top decks, like interspersed with your like main shell, is what's gonna make a really good vampire deck, in my opinion. And also, like I said, when the cards Olivia brings back from the graveyard, basically, if those of you who either have been sleeping under a rock or missed my first couple of days of stream spoiler content, the Crimson Bride, whenever she attacks, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, tap and attack it. It gains when you don't control a legendary vampire, exile this creature. So the opponent's going to be highly incentivized to, like, you know, if you play Olivia while they're tapped out in a deck that plays black or something, so you know you're safe. You're gonna get, and because she has haste, you get to attack in, and you bring back something, a really important something that's also attacking. You get in for a lot of damage. The opponent is instantly gonna be like, as soon as he untaps, I need to kill Olivia, like right now, because otherwise that's gonna happen to me again next turn. We just keep bringing stuff back from the graveyard. Yeah, kill Olivia. The thing that you brought back with her the previous turn is now exiled. It doesn't go back to your graveyard. So you want to make sure that those things don't go away, because Olivia is a 6 mana investment, you know. So if you, on the previous point on the curve, like turn 5, turn 4, turn 3, you played a legendary vampire all along the way, then they don't get exiled. And that is, I think, why we're getting so many of these vampire noble legendary guys, and I really like that. I really like that, just from like a design perspective. And this is one of those, because, you know, alongside Sorin, alongside the Blood-Veiled Purveyor, there's now like a few other really good 4-drops in the vampire deck, and it'll be tough to see like how many we put of each. The fact that they've made them legendary just makes it easier in my brain to think of how I'm going to build around them. You just put 2 of each, and they don't fill up the deck too much, and you still have space to create a good shell around them. I think that's going to be really sick. And the way they're all interacting with each other is starting to come together in my mind, and we still got a lot of spoilers to get through, so excitement peaking. Next up, Sanctify. Yes, finally, I like this. There's a 3 mana. I was actually just playing that card in my Scalding Vampires deck yesterday, called Invoke the Divine, which is 3 mana to do the same thing. Invoke the Divine gains you 4 life, but it costs 3 mana. Except it's instant speed. This is sorcery speed, costs 2. I didn't see the sorcery. If this was instant speed, I would just automatically play this over the other one. It's cheaper, and like just 1 life gain less. Who cares? But sorcery speed might just be okay. It's like a 2 of in your white deck to get rid of stuff. Although nowadays I'd probably just rather play the 3/1 flash guy called like something Cathar, probably. I can't remember now. Let me just go Google it up. Boop. Yeah, Cathar Commando, the human soldier. Then you just pay 1 and sacrifice it and kill an artifact or enchantment. Then you get like the same effect on a body that costs like just 1 extra, including the sacrifice cost. So, probably not going to see any play except in limited. Into the Night. 4 mana for a sorcery, 3 and a red. It becomes Night. Yes! Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards +1. I think that's really, really good. I still think I prefer Unnatural Sunrise, the 2 mana flashback, cruel colored one that was in Midnight Hunt. That also makes it night straight away, and also draws you some cards once your creature deals damage. This, you can draw more. Like, you can just discard nothing and just draw 1. If your hand is empty, it becomes night, and then you just draw a card. But, you know, in a red deck that's starting to coalesce, here we go. Here's a wolf. I was just going to say, like a red wolf deck, mono red, with that other crazy 5-drop werewolf guy that has menace and haste from a few days back. And, you know, Reckless Stormseeker, and, you know, here's an uncommon wolf we're going to read in a second. That might fit in there. So, like a mono red aggro werewolf deck with, like, Moonrager's Slash. There's good removal. Like, I'm really looking forward to building that as well. This might be the you know, make it into nighttime, force the nighttime thing that deck needs, because I think every werewolf deck needs one card like that. The cruel one has Tovolar, which, like, if you've got 3 wolves on the battlefield, it becomes night at the beginning of your turn. Or, you know, there's the previously mentioned Unnatural Moonrise. This will be like just the one that you play in mono red version. And you can even see, I mean, it's got the werewolf tracks there. Humans turning into werewolf. That's so sweet. I like it. I like it. I think I'm going to play that card for sure. Here comes a 2-drop werewolf that might fit into that curve perfectly. Runebound Wolf. Why did I click on it? Now it's going to go all the way back down here. Sorry. Freaking amateurs. 4 mana. Tap it. When it deals damage equal to the number of wolves and werewolves you control to target opponent. What? Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. If we get a better 1-drop wolf, because the current one is that boasty one. If we get a better 1-drop wolf in red, I can already see this being a hugely freaking amazing deck. Like, some 1-drop wolf that we haven't seen yet. This guy. Reckless Stormseeker, Into the Night. Is there another 4-drop red wolf? Well, I can't remember right now. Yes, there was a few. Even on day 1. Sorry, guys. I can't help but do this. Like, I get so excited. I hope this guy on turn 5. And yeah, there was this guy. You know, maybe. Meh, no. But yeah, then this guy on turn 5. Hasty with Menace. It's shaping up pretty nicely. I kind of can't wait. Like, a different mono red deck that isn't just like Embercleave and goblins. Bleh. Next up. Yeah, and then you just just continue on that point. And then at some point, like, if you can't get through for the final bit of damage, you just pay for tap this guy, and it does, like, you know, the damage equal to the number of wolves and werewolves you control to the opponents. You just go wide, and then just boom, go, like, do 5 damage to the face. With this guy. That's super good. Might be wrong. Let's see. Next up, Belligerent Guest. 3 mana. Creature Vampire. 3/2. Trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you create a blood token. Meh. Draft Chaff. Next up, Deadly Dancer. Alluring Suitor. 3 mana. 2/3. When you attack with exactly 2 creatures, you transform it. Has to be exactly 2 creatures. Oh, cool. That's pretty cool. It's like they're dancing. So then it becomes like, and then it flips to the Deadly Dancer. That's really clever, flavor-wise. Trample. That's cool. That's 2 vampires with Trample. When this creature transforms into Deadly Dancer, you add 2 red mana. Until the end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. You pay 2. And Deadly Dancer and another target creature each get +1/+. That's so cool. What a sweet card. Like, it's not incredibly good, but just the design, that's such a sweet card. I'm sure you agree. That's so sweet, man. This and your, like, Enrica or something attacking together. Ooh, there's a zombie. I haven't seen this card yet. Ooh. Okay. Next up, we know another double-sided card. This one is in Spanish, so I need to click it. Visionaria Voltaica. Causa 2 puntos de daño a você. Does 2 points of damage to you. Exile the top card of your library. You can play that card this turn. Activate only when you could cast sorcery. When you play an exiled card with Voltaic Missionary, transform it. And then it becomes a Voltaic Berserker, which is the 4/3. That's pretty cool. 2-drop, 3/1. Tap it. Deals 2 damage to yourself, and then you exile a card. So it gets tapped. You can't like make it into the will take Berserker and then just attack straight away. You have to wait until the next turn. But if you can cast that spell, then you can transform him. And it stays in exile. Play that card on this turn. Okay, it doesn't stay there. You have to play it that turn. So you need the mana to play this guy and tap it and play the thing that it is exiled, and then you can flip it, and then the following turn you can attack with a 4/3. Meh. Be interesting to see. There's a few of these like spell castery red ones. There's another one, the Flame Caller or something, that has transformed from the new set. From Midnight Hunt. Flame Channeler, embodiment of flame, kind of similar design space. Next up, Glorious Sunrise. Here's Teferi again, and Catilda doing their sunrisey stuff. 5 mana, green enchantment, 3 and 2 green. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you choose one. Oh, I love these kind of cards. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. Okay. Or target land gains tap, add 3 until end of turn. 3 green. It's also so sweet. Beginning of combat on your turn. Man, that is so sweet. Or you can draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater, or you can gain 3 life. This is amazing. This is just what the freaking deck needed. the Coven thing. Just played this instead of Sigarda Savior as the 5-drop. Really, really nice. Really, really nice. It's probably not a really good card, but it's just the kind of card that I really like. Loads of options, sits there, does something every turn. Enchantments. Harder to interact with than most things. And has a lot of really cool, like, versatility. Gaining 3 life every turn is really, really important for a deck like that. And drawing cards. You can have multiple of these. They're not legendary. Lone Fox approves. Next up, Headless Rider. 3 mana. For a creature zombie. 2 in a black. For a 3/1. Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies. So decayed things don't trigger this. You create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. That's actually pretty good. I can see why it's rare. Whenever it or another, there's a lot of like non-token zombies that could be dying. Then you just create a token. Cool. Cool. I like. I don't know if we'll find too much space in the zombie deck, like in the one that I'm like mostly dying to build, which is like all these wizards that play with the zombies. But there could be just like a more straight up zombies deck without all the puppet stitches and without the, what was it, Geralf or something, and just go more just zombies aggro. In my mono black aggro zombies deck, like this could be actually really, really good. There wasn't anything on the 3-drop slot, and it just goes straight into Ebon Death Draco Lich. Like you could find a way to fit space in for a Headless Rider. That might actually be really good. Replaces itself when it dies, and it's not a decayed token that it makes. Nice. Next up, Wandering Mind. 3 mana horror. Is it colors? Read the signpost. Let's see what it's signaling. 2/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. Oh god. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them, so instant or sorceries, or an enchantment or a planeswalker, I guess. Put it into your hand. Put the rest into the bottom of your library in random order. It's like a weird ass galvanic expressive iteration, like that thing that it does right now, where like it playing little threats and doing very little on turn 1. They just foretell, turn 2 they just foretell something, or they hold up mana for a Jawari. Played this deck so many times that I can tell what they're gonna do. Turn 3 they play their expressive iteration, they go find their other land, they foretell like their Alrunes or a sword coming or something. No. Turn 3 they could play, turn 4 they could play this. Keep them, stocked up with instants and sorceries. So I don't think they'll like revealing it, but I think it's pretty good in that deck. Maybe in this upcoming, like, is it spellcaster thing with the new 4-drop dragon? This card is gonna break the format, in my opinion. This thing is ridiculous. This is gonna be a pain in the ass. That's the second deck I'm building after the Vamps. Alright, next up, Parasitic Grasp. Instant speed. 2 mana. Nice. Oh, nice. This is nice. So it's either 2 mana, and you deal 3 damage to target human creature. You gain 3 life. Or you can pay it 3 mana. It's only 1 extra for the cleave cost, and you can remove the words in the square brackets, so it becomes 3 damage to any creature, and you gain 3 life. I don't know how much this will see play, like, as opposed to, say, I don't know, even just the other Grasp that we just got, Infernal Grasp, where you lose 2 life, but it's instant speed without having to pay the extra 1 to, and it doesn't have the thing about human. But this gains you life and deals 3 damage. And it's cool to see like a black spell that does 3 damage, kind of like a red spell does. Interesting. Next up, Screaming Swarm, 6 mana for bird horror. Look at these. Look at these things. Like a bird with a tentacle face. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. A seagull with tentacles. Whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures, target player mills that many cards. Put a Screaming Swarm from your graveyard into your hand, second from the top. Okay. It's like the finisher in some nasty mill deck or something. You have multiple of these in. And you just keep attacking. And wow, you can mill a lot of cards if you've got a lot of creatures, but I don't like mill cards, so I don't even want to talk about it. Next up, oh, I don't need to click on that. Sorry. At least my browser's finally decided to have me go back to where I was instead of somewhere down there. Zombie Warrior, 2-drop, 3/3 with exploit. Wow. Wow. A lot of 2-drops in the zombie deck, but this might be a good one. 3/3 is great for 2. That's like amazing. Above curve. And then it has exploit. So when it exploits a creature, you destroy target planeswalker. The beginning of your upkeep deals 1 damage to you. Okay. There's a little bit of a downside there. Like that 1 damage every turn is pretty gnarly. But maybe just like a 2-of as a way to get rid of pesky planeswalkers. Anyway, you want to be ending the game pretty quickly with a zombie deck. It's turning into like a pretty cool mono black aggro deck, actually. The way I'm playing it lately. So this might end up seeing some play. I like it. Let's see. Maybe just like a 2 of to kill planeswalkers and have a, you know, a 3/3 if you don't have any planeswalkers to kill. Bramble Worm, 7 mana. Typical worm. Super expensive, super huge body. Trample thing. Reach, trample. This is for draft. Reach and trample. Cool. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life, and then you can pay 2 and a green and exile it from your graveyard, and you gain 5 life. 7 mana investment. I don't know. Will it see any play? Probably not. Next up, oh sweet, we got a rare spirit. Mirrorhall Mimic. So you may have it come into play as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a spirit in addition to its other types. That is cool. It's like the, what was it called? Rogue. It had the mirror ability. Glasspool Mimic. Also a Mimic. Cool. That is really cool. I really, really like this card already. And I haven't read the backside. So then you can cast it from the graveyard for its disturb cost of 5, which is only 1 more than the original cost. And it comes back as an aura. And the aura, you enchant creature, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a token that's a copy of enchanted creature. Except... guys, this spirit deck is looking to be so sweet. I almost want to build it first before the vampires. Like, holy cannoli, that is a sweet card. And here, ooh, we've got some white. I told you there was an Orzhov Vamps deck coming. Orzhov, Mardu Vamps. I'm like pathetic. I'm going to be playing Showdown of the Scalds in my Mardu Vamps deck, and it's going to be epic. Can't wait. By the way, if you haven't seen yesterday's deck yet, go and check it out. I think it's really, really good. Like, I honestly think it's one of the best brews I've come up with in a little while. You should go and check it out. I'll leave no, there's no need to leave a link. Just go check it out. It's the video before this one. And leave a like on it. Yeah, this is an incredible card. This is an incredible card. I really like it. I wish it was like maybe just 1 mana less, like 3 mana, but that would just make it way too good. I think this is an incredibly good card. I have some like crazy ideas. And have it like copy even your lord. What's his name? The Spirit Lord, something Geist. Patrician Geist. So, you know, give more +1/+1 action. This is just like first thing I'm thinking of. Comes a copy of it. Or you can do it to something else that isn't a spirit that you want to become a spirit. So that it does get the buff from a Geist that you have in play. And then when it comes back, every time you attack, it just makes it another copy of the Geist. And then it's +1/+1/+1/+1/+1. Woo! The jank. Epic. Anyway, I'm gushing over this card. On to the next one. Markov Purifier. A Orzhov uncommon. Vampire Cleric. Okay, cool. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Cool. Really, really cool. It has lifelink, so it can make you gain the life, or you can do it in many other ways. This fits in the Cleric deck, this fits in the Vampire deck. I am keen to see where this will end up. A little bit of card draw is very important, as we all know, so... Nice. Markov Purifier. Misa Likey. Mardu Vampires, huh? Is it really going to be a thing with my Showdown of the Scalds? Next up, Blood Hypnotist. 3 mana for a 3/3. Creature Vampire. Blood Hypnotist can't block. Whenever you sacrifice 1 or more blood tokens, target creature can't block this turn. This ability triggers only once each turn. Nice. Get hypnotized by the Blood Hypnotist. And then she makes it so you can't block. And then you swing and swing and swing and swing and swing. incentivize you to just keep attacking. But 3-drop, there's too many better things. This is a draft card for sure. Next up, Spiked Ripsaw, 3 mana, 2 and a green for equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3. Equip cost of 3, and whenever a equipped creature attacks, you may sacrifice a forest. If you do, that creature gains trample. Cool, like, flavor. Interesting card. I don't know. Green equipment's always a bit weird. Like, I just don't know where I would put it. Maybe just like a 2-of in some weird deck that I still haven't thought of. But, meh. But that's going to be it for today. That brings us to the end of November 2nd's spoilers. Let's have a quick last little refresh just to make sure. I'm sure there'll be more tomorrow as usual. So tune in again for that. I'll do my usual and kind of catch up us up on today's stuff tomorrow. But thank you all so much for watching. Those of you who make it to the end, as you know, you are my favorite people in the whole wide world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to leave me some comments. I'd love to hear what, you know, the standout cards were for you today. Yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow for some more spoiler content. Until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.